Today on the LowDOWN, the Down Syndrome podcast, Danielle Gibbons gave us the LowDOWN diagnosis and baskets of love. Over to you, Hina and Marla.
Thanks, Andrew. Hi, everyone. My name is Hina Mahmood, and I am the Senior Occupational Therapist at the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation. And with me is my amazing colleague, Marla Folden, who is the Speech-Language Pathologist at DSRF. Hi, Marla.
Oh, hello, Hina.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
I'm really good. I'm very excited about our guest today. So many of our families at the DSRF will have their own unique stories of how they found out or were told about their child's DS diagnosis. As clinicians, we need to hold space for our families and recognize that they may still be coming to terms with their child's diagnosis or diagnoses. Mm-hmm. A family may find out prenatally through testing, at birth, or occasionally quite a while after birth, though this is usually, only the case when a kiddo is diagnosed with mosaic Down syndrome.
Yeah.
But regardless, getting that news is the first step in a process of reconciling expectations and, getting to know that beautiful baby that has joined the family as well. And one thing that bears a huge emotional weight is the way in which a family is told the news.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And my family has gone through that.
Mm-hmm.
All the families that we work with have gone through that as
Absolutely,
well.
Yeah.
So today we're very excited to get the lowdown from Danielle Gibbons, who's really taken a deep dive into this process of getting the news after she found out that her own son Conor has DS. And as a result of that, Danielle started a program called Baskets of Love, and those baskets provide comfort and support and resources to new parents by welcoming them into the community of people with Down syndrome in a really positive way. And we're going to get a lot more into that in a minute. These baskets welcome each family with sort of a gift basket of gifts that are especially chosen for babies with Down syndrome, and they're really meant to celebrate that new baby. Mm-hmm. And each basket includes some information that at the local level and national resources that can help a family transition a little bit more easily and more positively into life with Down syndrome.
Yeah. And we've gotten a chance to see some of those baskets as they come through DSR, and they're fantastic.
Yes.
So great and so thoughtful. All right, well, let's welcome Danielle to the show. Hi, Danielle.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Absolutely.
Before we get started, we've had a bit of a tradition that we started at the Lowdown where we ask our guests 5 secret questions to kind of get to know you a little bit better.
Not hard ones.
They're not hard ones, we promise. They're kind of fun ones. So
everybody freaks out about that.
I know,
they're like, oh no, a quiz.
No math involved, I promise.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay, so let's start off with what was your first concert that you attended?
My first concert was Crisscross.
Oh, love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hip hop.
Yeah.
Hip hop, yeah.
Yeah. Can I get a jump?
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Crisscross, Hina?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Did you?
Sorry, no, I didn't go to Crisscross, but I grew up with Crisscross. I didn't go to the concert, but But how old were you in your first concert?
I want to say like 9 or 10.
Oh, and you went to Crisscross. Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, they were kid friendly.
Well, they were kids.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. Nowadays,
I know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. Okay, question number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Many of our kiddos with Down syndrome, have weird sensory things that kind of, what I like to call sensory quirks that we see every day in our jobs. Do you have a sensory quirk?
Well, that's a good question. I think maybe some food aversions, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, like I'm not a fan of guacamole. The whole avocado thing, just the texture, just ugh. And banana is right up there with that as well.
Ask.
It's like the same consistency, and
so soup,
banana bread is okay. Banana flavored things are fine, but like
the actual texture.
Biting into a banana or avocado is
thick but smooth.
Yeah.
It's too much. Okay.
You're just asking a lot.
What about soup? Soup
Avocado
is
soup?
No, just soup. Just
Banana
soup? Not banana soup.
Yeah, I suppose.
If it's like
Soup
a
is good.
liquidy
It's
soup.
Like a
the
liquidy
thickness is a
soup.
problem.
Yeah. We're not.
Chicken noodle good, crab, bisque not so much.
Maybe not. No.
Yeah. We're just stressing
it is
you
a
out by
category.
talking
It's a
about all
category.
food texture. Okay, great. Question number 3. Your least favorite household chore?
picking up after my husband. That sort of, encompasses all rooms and categories. It's just an umbrella. But if I had to narrow it down, I would probably pick putting away laundry. I can fold the laundry, I can do the laundry, I just can't make that final step.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we have one of those chairs in our bedroom.
Yeah.
Me
The
too.
laundry.
Me too.
Yeah. So many different places it needs to go.
What else
It's
is
just
the top of the dresser for, really?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Piles.
what has been your favorite vacation destination?
Just anywhere with a beach.
Yeah.
Just warm beach with a person that brings me fruity drinks.
Fantastic.
No children around. Preferably no people, actually. Just
Solitary.
me. Husband is optional.
Yeah.
And just somewhere warm and relaxing.
Quiet.
Yeah, quiet.
It's so funny. I'm so the opposite. I don't like quiet vacations. I want to be in a city and running around.
This is the problem when I vacation with my husband, because he is the let's go do, let's go see, let's go investigate and chat with people and get to know the culture. And I'm like, I'm not here to learn about their culture. I'm here to learn about the beach.
And the pina
coladas.
Yeah. So there have been vacations where he's gone and done his thing and I've just done my thing, and
that works.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
That's
good compromise.
Yep.
Love it.
Exactly.
Okay, and your final question, coffee or tea?
1000% coffee. I mean, who chooses tea? I'm like,
If it's 10
this is
PM,
a judgment-free zone, but I will judge you. Yeah, definitely coffee.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite, like are you a black coffee person? Do you have a particular
No,
kind of coffee?
I do like a little splash of cream in there, you know, but
tempered down a little?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
tempered down a little
Got it,
bit.
very
Yeah.
nice. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. So that wasn't too hard.
No.
It was kind of fun.
No, painless.
And I got
No
to know
math.
that you love 90s hip hop, which is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Marla had mentioned in your intro that you have a fantastic, fabulous son named Conor.
I do indeed.
Who some of us know really well. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about Conor?
Conor is a 7-year-old little boy with Down syndrome that is the life of the party. And Conor loves love and attention and eyes on him at all times. He loves dance and music and any sort of theatrics.
Performance.
He
Yes.
loves to perform for you, for sure. If he's guaranteed an applause.
Yeah. It's kind of similar for a lot of my kids with Down syndrome. They do live for the applause, as
Does he
Lady
take
Gaga
a good
would say.
bow?
Oh,
That's a good sign.
100%. Yeah.
Excellent.
Definitely.
He has some good dance moves too that I've been seeing.
Oh, yeah.
Great
Yeah.
dance moves.
He has questionable dance moves for his age as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There is
for sure.
There is a weird thing with our kiddos at that age and twerking.
Yep. He
I have
is
seen so many of them do
all
that.
about a booty shake that he sorts of whips out at the most inappropriate times as well.
love it. It's
So, and of course, the attention you give, like, don't do that.
Oh,
just
yeah.
eggs him on even more. It's like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that. Here's another little one. Yeah.
He's great. So tell us a little bit about your story of receiving a diagnosis for Conor. Like, what went well, what didn't go so well. Love to.
Yeah. So we were in a really weird space where I was moving OBs. I used to live in North Vancouver, and I was now living in Vancouver with, now that I'd gotten married. I had kept my family doctor in North Vancouver, and I would visit her. I would make the drive out there. But then when we got pregnant, it just made sense to move to Vancouver. I was going to deliver in Vancouver. It just made sense. So we were sort of in the process of transferring over from one OB to the next. And we received a call to come into her office one day. And it was as a result of our regular quad screen that, every pregnancy you sort of typically go through. And surprisingly, I had expected it had all gone well because I hadn't heard from them in hindsight, looking back, it was because it was over the Christmas break. And, you know, I was like, no news is great news. And for some reason, I always had Down syndrome on my heart with that quad screen. I don't know why. I never really thought of any other, you know, condition or genetic abnormality. I just had this focus of, oh gosh, please don't let it be Down syndrome, you know? And then when I didn't hear from her, I was like, great, everything's good. But then shortly after the new year, we did get a call to come into her office. And, you know, that happened on the SkyTrain on the way home from work. And that was, you know, an emotional moment that an entire SkyTrain car got to see. And we went into her office that evening, and, you know, we were handed a piece of paper that told us that we had a 1 in 15 chance of having a child with Down syndrome. And, you know, it was just a black and white piece of paper that was all about, you know, next steps and options and, you know, statistics and stuff. And the conversation with her was very clinical, and it was very, it was full of numbers, statistics, everything that, you know, the negative side of what life with Down syndrome is going to be like. We were presented with options for termination, that sort of stuff. And we didn't even have a confirmed diagnosis of Down syndrome at that point. It was just a 1 in 15. And like I said, we were transferring between OBs, so our amnio and everything after that initial conversation was handled by our Vancouver doctor, and it was just night and day. It was a completely different conversation. It was full of light. It was full of positivity. It was, you know, she cried in the office with me. She was incredibly supportive. She told us all the things of life with Down syndrome, what it could be, and you know, really made sure that we had a good support system in place, and really followed through with that as well. You know, every subsequent visit with her, she was asking and making sure, you know, have you reached out to another family? Do you need connections? And it was just really very blatantly obvious the difference between one delivery of a diagnosis and the next, and what a difference that could make. You know, I still didn't get out of bed for 6 weeks after. I still, you know, just had a little black rain cloud over me, but, you know, her weekly check-ins and her support was just a light that I looked forward to. And it was so different from our initial conversation. And, you know, she's the one that put us in touch with my first connection to the Down syndrome community. Coincidentally enough, Tamara Taggart, she was Tamara Taggart's OB and Beckett's GP. So she knew Tamara, and she put us in touch with each other. And, you know, Tamara was my first connection to the community through, you know, my OB, and it was because she took that extra step, and she wanted to make sure that I was getting the support that I needed, and that was just reaffirming of what a positive attitude can mean in a delivery diagnosis.
For sure.
Yeah.
I want to mention something here, which is that a lot of times medical professionals are told that they should not cry.
Yeah.
In a clinic room, because it's unprofessional, and that, you know, they should keep themselves out of it. And what you're saying here is that meant a lot to you.
Oh, absolutely.
And that it sort of normalized your experience.
Yeah, her empathy meant everything. You know, it's what I needed at that moment. I needed somebody, you know, to cry along with me, you know, and we didn't tell friends or family for, you know, I think in that 6 weeks, we held that really close to our chest. So she was the only person, you know, apart from my husband, of course, that knew, and just her being an ally and, you know, somebody to cry with was incredibly important and meaningful for us, for sure.
And I think despite their training of not getting too emotional, sometimes you need to, you know, read the room and know your patients, and like, will this person benefit from me being emotional or not, right? So that's where that rapport is so important, to like, how will my reaction help Danielle receive this news, right? So
it's funny you should say that, because that's exactly what I do when I meet a new family now. I definitely read the room, and I see, you know, are there tissues on the ground? You know, is mom's eyes red and swollen? You know, are they more, you know, on the I want information and statistics and clinical side of things, or are they on the more emotional side of I just need a hug? You know, and it's definitely all about reading the room, because there's some families that I've met that I have cried with them and, you know, given them a hug and everything's going to be okay. And then there's others that, you know, we shake hands and we leave. And, you know, it's reading the room, it's knowing your audience, and it's also knowing, trying to figure out what that person needs, because we're all so different.
For sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We handle and process things so differently.
Exactly. And it's great that this leads us into our next question beautifully. Like, do you, like you said, have had lots of experience interacting with new parents of babies with Down syndrome, and do you feel like your experience in receiving the diagnosis, and you've actually kind of had two different experiences, you can compare and contrast a little bit, but do you feel like it's fairly standard for, you know, new and expecting parents? Have you heard a similar experience from some of the families? Have you heard
having two different experiences?
Or just like the good one or the not so good one.
Like, have other parents said the diagnosis news was really bad, really good? Like, is it, what have you heard from other families?
You know, it's such a spectrum. Some have had really negative experiences through the genetic screening program and the genetic counseling program, which was also our experience as well. And that's why Conor and I, we meet yearly with the UBC genetic counseling students to to introduce Conor to him, and you know, there are students from DSRF that also go to that yearly meetup, and it's about putting a face to Down syndrome and giving them an opportunity to ask questions, to see what life with Down syndrome is like and normalcy, but there are definitely those that have had very negative experiences of receiving a diagnosis and being pushed for termination. And there are others that, you know, a large chunk of our hospital deliveries are birth deliveries. And that's just a whole different ball game that, you know, I don't personally have experience with because of our prenatal diagnosis. But they are going through so many more complex emotions than I did, or a prenatal diagnosis. The hormones, they are learning to take care of a baby in front of them. Their life has completely changed, you know, where they thought they were just going to be cuddling and snuggling this baby. Maybe this baby is now hooked up to some oxygen and, you know, a G-tube and that sort of thing. And, you know, it's just a different level of complexity that I find those parents, while emotional about the process, their head is in a different space because they've just got to figure out what's going on in front of them. You know, when's the next feed? What's that beep going on over there? Is O2 levels okay? You know, and that's just a different experience for sure.
And there's a lot of anticipation, I think, too, when you find out before your baby's arrived, and then it makes for a stressful pregnancy.
Absolutely.
Because you wonder about every little thing. Is this, are we fine? Are we not fine? Are, you know,
your pregnancy just changes overnight because now, you know, so instead of that one and done ultrasound, now you're going for monthly or weekly, or you're seeing all these different specialists, and you know, it changes. I was pregnant along with 5 other associates or acquaintances in my office, and I was having a completely different experience to them, and I felt so alone and so different and outside of that group. Because I was like, oh, just gonna go see a cardiologist today, you know, got another test to go to, and it was just. It's a different experience. It does change your pregnancy. It adds a level of stress, completely unknown. You know, you don't have this babe in front of you to just
confirm that it's
okay to, you know, love on and squish on, and, you know, and and then there's the anxiety of what's birth going to be like, you know, like are they going to arrive safely? Am I going to get to hold him? Is he going to get rushed away quickly? You know, and so there's pros and cons to each one. I don't think one is better than the other, for sure. You know, you can always can always flip it around.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's how each person takes that experience. You were mentioning about feeling alone and how your second GP connected you with another parent. How was that experience in terms of like connecting with another mom who had a kiddo with Down syndrome? Like, were you able to, did you connect with her after Conor was born, before?
No,
Did you guys have conversations?
I connected with her about a month before Conor was a month early. So it was 2 months before he was supposed to arrive. And, you know, she right away was like, let's get a dinner organized for you. Let's get you to meet some other moms and get you into this community and you see other faces. And it wasn't until that dinner that, you know, even after that dinner, strangely enough, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I'm not a let's talk about our feelings kind of person. And I don't know if I need this, you know, like it's really nice to have that connection, but I don't think I'm going to need this long term. I'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll do our own thing. And it's so weird because when I say today that he's 7, it's because at that dinner, a lot of the parents who had kids with Down syndrome, their kids were like 6, 7, 8 years old. And I just remember thinking at the time, like, yeah, but their kids are so old, you know, like, and I just don't even see us at 7 years old. Like, I just can't even think of that right now. And it's so weird that I have that 7-year-old now.
Yeah.
And so it turned out being the greatest gift I didn't know I needed. And, you know, we still sort of did our own thing for the first, I would say, 4 or 5 months. You know, we had some medical, issues come up that we were just trying to get, you know, our feet underneath us, and we did our own thing. And then, you know, I would say about 5 months is when we really were like, okay, maybe I can go to a play group, or we can meet some other families. And it was really at that moment when I started actually actively participating in the Down syndrome community that I felt like I was starting to heal. I wasn't there yet, but I was definitely like, oh, this is good for me. I should keep doing this. And everybody has to get there on their own time. You know, I 1000%, whenever I meet a new family, you do you when you need to do you. But just speaking from experience, I can tell you that a connection to another family or the community might help you in ways you don't think you need it. And, you know, if you decide never to go that route, that's fine. That's your choice. But I just want to let you know that I felt that way too. And it has made such a difference. For sure.
And you're still connected with so many of those families. And I mean, we're going to talk about Baskets of Love in a minute, but I just like a little off script here quickly. I know that you organized with another mom a really cool little tea party thing that you guys did last year.
We did.
Where you're kind of paying it forward and connecting these families at all age levels. Or not all new moms, or all age levels, because that support is needed throughout.
Prenatal mums were welcome, up to adult mums, for T21 moms. And we were supposed to do another one this year, but, you know, COVID.
It's ruined all the plans.
So we're hoping to do it again when things sort of normalize.
Such a great
it was on the agenda to do this year, so hopefully
that's
we'll
amazing.
do it again.
It's so great.
It's just community. It's I don't know. It's the biggest thing for us.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And we see that, I think, in our conversations with our parents every day. A lot of them, especially when they come, a lot of them come that are not even in Canada, or they're, you know, coming from another country. They need some sort of a connection with somebody so that they don't feel alone. And that's not a fun feeling for sure. So now that Conor is a bit older, he's 7 years old, he just turned 7 this year. What do you know now that you wish you'd known when you first found out he had Down syndrome? About him, about Down syndrome?
Normal our normal is going to be. You know, like I really just thought I had lost it all. I really felt like I wasn't going to get what I had set out to achieve in making a family. And I just was so naive and so wrong about it. And that is completely normal and okay. I had never met a person with Down syndrome before Conor.
Most people haven't.
Yeah.
Never went to school with one.
Yeah.
Didn't see one. I don't think I even saw one on the street, but of course now they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I can see them from behind, like 3 blocks away. But, you know, like, and that's what's so weird to me about why I thought about Down syndrome when I was pregnant, was because it was just something not in my life at all. And so I was terrified of the unknown. And as a planner, as a person that likes to know the next steps, the whole unknown was really terrifying and very hard for me. And I realize now, and I have had that aha moment where any child is unknown. You know, Down syndrome diagnosis is a genetic confirmation, but you don't know anything about any child placed in front of you. You don't know if they're going to, you know, want to be a doctor one day, or they're going to want to be an artist. Are they going to give you grief and jump off a house? Or are they going to, you know, be this straight A student and want to sit inside and read? Like, you just don't know anything about your kids. And I realize that now. I wish I'd known that then. I wish I didn't let the fear consume me as much, because having a baby was going to be scary anyway. You know?
I think a lot of parents, first-time parents especially, kind of assume they're going to have a mini them. And what that diagnosis does is prove to you you're not having a mini you. But everybody else learns that just slower. Right?
Okay, no, it's definitely a crash course in you're not getting what you wanted. For sure. It is. It's just it's a learning curve in a really short amount of time.
Without too many numbers. Too many numbers.
And I think, I mean, I'm sure there's definitely certain aspects of Conor that you see, like, of traits that you see. So to some degree, he is a mini you. He's a mini Kieran. His dad.
Those dance moves didn't come out of nowhere.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's theatric. I mean, I don't want to say I'm dramatic, but he looks like his daddy. He's blonde and blue-eyed, just like his daddy, you know, and he's definitely got personality traits. You know, great ones from me, not some great ones from somebody else.
Well, it has to balance out somehow.
For sure.
That's awesome. And then, you know, Conor is an older brother, so he has a younger brother named Owen, who's very sweet and adorable. Can you talk a little bit about their relationship and how Conor and Owen are?
Salt and pepper, chalk and cheese, night and day. Just complete opposites. Conor is my fun-loving, emotional, huggy, sweet little boy that loves to dance and sing, and Owen is, don't touch me, don't look at me, dirt, mud, trucks, arr!
Got it.
Yeah, and just complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And I find that hard to manage sometimes, because Conor just wants that love and snuggles and hugs, and Owen is like, don't come near me, don't touch me, don't look at me, how dare you breathe in my direction. And you know, but he has these moments where he just shines through of being this sweet, caring, empathetic little boy that realizes that Conor needs a hug. And, you know, yesterday Conor fell down and Owen came running to me saying, Mommy, my brother fell down. He needs a hug. I said, well, what are you going to do about that? He said, I'll go give him a hug. And he has these little moments where I'm like, oh, you are human inside. So, you know, they've just got such a typical brother relationship that it's comforting. At the same time, I worry that maybe he's not as empathetic as Conor might like, but it's also a learning lesson for Conor that he can't hug everybody and he can't demand emotion from everybody. And Owen is teaching him to back off and take a chill pill. And Conor's teaching Owen, you know, that when your empathy is needed, let that shine through for sure.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's so great. You can. I'm sure you can attest to that. Having a little sister with Down syndrome too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. what are your hopes for Conor? This is a deep question. But like I always love asking parents this because everyone has a different take on it. But what are your hopes? What do you see for his future for Conor? I know he's only 7.
Yeah,
but,
I know. I just hope he finds the joy that he needs and he wants, and I hope he's surrounded by support when he needs it, and he's allowed to fly when he needs to fly. But at the same time, there'll somebody will always be there to catch him, and that brings me a lot of anxiety, and I think that's what I'm most afraid about for his future. Is he going to have somebody there for him always? I know we have a lot of family and friends. It's, he's just my baby and I worry. But I definitely do hope that he finds what what brings him joy. And, right now it's shaking his booty to music inappropriately. And, if that's what he wants to do when he's older, I just hope a pole isn't involved. I don't know. I just hope, I just want him to be happy. And if that's with me, living with me and his dad for the rest of his life, then that's fine. But if that's finding independence, I just hope he has that support that he needs. And if it can't be from our family, then the community would pick up and support him where he needs, for sure.
Exactly. And I think you're doing such a great job of building that community around him, because isn't one of Conor's best friends a girl with a friend that has Down syndrome as well?
Sophia. Hey, Sophia.
Yeah. Friend, maybe more, I don't know.
They don't know it yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe they do. I don't know.
They're very good with their emotional
But yes, Tamara and I have become very close, and we have a great friendship going with our 2 kids, and we definitely hope that they will be the support that each other needs growing up.
It's great planning.
Very cute together. And then before we take a break, I just wanted to ask one more question, which was, what has Conor taught you about parenthood and life in general? Because I've learned some of the greatest lessons from our individuals with Down syndrome. So.
Oh, 100%. Well, I don't know about parenthood, but definitely 100% he's taught me about reserving judgment and, keeping my opinions and thoughts in check until I know the person and until I know the story. And, he has just opened my eyes to difference, and we're all so unique, and we thrive off of different things, and we're so complex, and it's not just about a diagnosis, and we're all in general just need that opportunity to be heard and loved and supported. And he's definitely opened my eyes to just finding the beauty in difference, for sure. That's one thing he's taught me. Yeah. I have a vivid memory of driving down the road one day, and there was a woman jogging in the most neon, scantily dressed jogging outfit I can remember, like I've ever seen a person wear. And there were fishnet stockings, and it was just a mess. And I remember looking at her, and my first thought was, how can you be out in public dressed like that? And my second thought was, you know what? She's rocking it. Yeah. She is happy. She is jogging, something I am not doing. She is out there and she is living and loving life. You go, girl. If that is what brings you joy, go for it. And it was just such a realization of my instinct was to be judgmental. And then I was like, you know what? That could be Conor one day. Yeah. and I don't want people to judge him. So maybe I shouldn't, I should keep myself in check. For sure.
Awesome. That's powerful.
Very powerful. That's a good lesson for all of us, honestly. Yeah, that's absolutely a good one. Okay, so we're going to take a break, and then after we will come back and talk to you a little bit about your amazing organization, Baskets of Love.
Okay.
Show the world you love someone with Down syndrome. DSRF Down Syndrome Swag Shop is stocked with shirts, baby clothes, bags, and more. Whether you're looking for World Down Syndrome Day products, DSRF brand merchandise, or general Down syndrome items, we have what you're looking for. Love lives on 21st chromosome, and Down syndrome Drake lives at dsrf.org/shop.
My name is Andrew. I am the photographer. Photos are my interest because I love scenes. It makes me feel very close to people. My photos cards are on my Etsy shop through Andrew's eyes at dsrf.org/Andrew. Don't forget to watch my video through Andrew's eyes on YouTube.
We're back here on the Lowdown talking with Danielle Gibbons, who started the Baskets of Love project. So let's talk about this. After your son Conor was born, you sort of made it a personal mission to support families with a new baby with Down syndrome. Can we start by talking about why this is so important to you? Because you had two very different experiences. So why did you choose this?
I just didn't want people to feel the way I felt, honestly. And I thought that if you could start the journey off on a little bit of a positive note, it can just make such a difference. And, it's not going to be the answer to everything. It's definitely not going to make you think, yay, Down syndrome, but it just knowing that there is something there to catch you if you need help or support. That you aren't alone, your choice to be alone and go through the journey, or your choice to reach out, but you have options, and you can choose, and you can navigate your journey however you'd like, but there is support should you want it. And there's also a little glimpse of light into the life of Down syndrome, that it's not all doom and gloom like some medical professionals can make it out to be.
So it's kind of moving from like, oh no, Down syndrome to, okay, Down syndrome.
Let's process this.
Step. Yeah.
And see where it takes us.
Okay, yeah. I get that for sure. You just mentioned it, and I think we'll get into it a little bit more. I would like to hear from your perspective where you think some areas for growth would be for health professionals. Like you said, you and Conor both go to the genetics counseling student program so that they can put a very adorable face to the statistics that they have. Because when it comes down to it, a lot of them may not have experience with people with Down syndrome.
They may have also never met a person with Down syndrome, for sure.
Exactly. And so, they're reading from the textbook, which does not help anybody, really. So what would you say would be helpful? What should those professionals
Definitely
do?
that first step of training them young. And the UBC Genetic Counseling Program has definitely, I think, started a really important initiative of allowing their students to meet. It's not just Down syndrome. They will meet all or as many different genetic conditions as they possibly can. And I think that's an incredible first step of, I am the first to tell you that we're not going to teach an old dog new tricks. An obstetrician that's been in this business for 30 years is not going to deliver a diagnosis better than he or she did 10 years ago. But I feel the new generations coming up to give a face to a diagnosis, to introduce a little empathy, a little understanding into the life, is definitely, I think, something that's needed in the medical professional field. Putting a face to a diagnosis. I also feel like many of these doctors, nurses, professionals, whoever, I don't have no hard feelings towards the medical profession, but a lot of them don't have everyday experience with a child with Down syndrome. They don't have experience with an adult with Down syndrome. And, I feel like it's a little reckless to tell you what life with Down syndrome is going to be like if you don't know. Yes, they have higher statistics of getting certain conditions in adulthood, or there's so much data and research, but unless you're living it, I feel like it's I don't know, it's hard to deliver such news without the opposite side of the story.
And that data and research the whole point of it is looking for differences.
Yeah.
So that's what's emphasized to new parents is these are all the things that are different, not these are all the things that are actually the same between your kid and any other kid. That's really.
And I think also
really
I've heard so many parents say that they found it when the doctors would deliver the news. They would say, "Oh, we're sorry to say that your child has," and that word "sorry" is very triggering for a lot of parents. Like it shouldn't be a sorry thing. It should be, so we found out. Like however you do it, but it's not bad news in that way. So it's like the words. I'm assuming you would agree wouldn't matter how you use those words, right? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, there's nothing to be sorry for. Like. Yeah, this isn't what I was expecting. It's not the greatest news.
Absolutely,
But so for sure.
Tell us about Baskets of Love. So how the organization has grown a lot. So tell us about that. What's going on?
It has. So I first came up with the idea in January 2014. And it sat on my heart for a little while. Didn't know if I could do it. Didn't know how to do it. Just thought about it for a really long time. And, then one day it was like, okay, either do it or don't do it, but stop thinking about it. And we officially took the leap, started Baskets of Love July 1st. So that's anniversary is coming up in 2014. So Conor was just over a year old in 2014. And then in 2016, I want to say, we became officially registered as a nonprofit, thank you. Officially became registered as a nonprofit organization, just to give a little more credit to us, open our doors up a little more, instead of this crazy basket lady showing up at the hospitals. There's a little bit more legitimacy to my name than I'm not just the lady that's giving out baskets. So and then we took off from there, and it's not just me anymore. I mean, I have the buckets and buckets of stuff at my house, but I'm not the only one delivering baskets anymore. I call them my Baskets of Love Army. We have people reaching out in the Fraser Valley. DSRF has been a huge part of getting us mailed out across the province. And, I just feel like, and I felt for a long time that it was really important that if a mom delivers out in Chilliwack, it's really important for somebody in Chilliwack to deliver that basket and make that connection. Yeah. I don't know Chilliwack. I don't know the resources there. I don't know the play groups there. It makes sense for somebody in Chilliwack to be that connection. So I definitely have my army of people spread out to help deliver baskets where they may need. And that's it. It has grown 105 baskets as of today.
Wow.
So
that's a lot, and all over the province. I mean,
all
that
over the
is
province.
Really fantastic.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I think we even done one to Toronto, but that was a friend of a friend of a friend. But yeah, we were pretty much Lower Mainland only. I forget how soon after we started, but I had Heather on Vancouver Island reach out saying, hey, I would really love to be your base on Vancouver Island. And that was amazing. And then Danielle on the island joined her. So we have Heather and Danielle on Vancouver Island that deliver baskets, and I send them sort of stock every now and then. And they deliver on the island. But then I was like, well, we can't reach the rest of the province. And we just, as this little non-profit, don't have the funds for that. And that's where DSRF stepped in and has been a real saving grace there, because we're delivering at least one or two a month now to outside the Lower Mainland, and those were babies that were just getting missed before.
So a little bit of an aside, but not really. People listen to this podcast from all over the world. Yay, us! We're very excited about it.
Oh, yay!
Could people get in touch with us or you if they would be interested in starting this, not as a satellite of you, but your process and how
I
you've
have people
done
reach
this.
out to me all the time.
I bet, 'cause it's very awesome.
Yeah, but well, parents also that feel that need. Well,
Yeah.
you know, they want to give back. They want to change the story. They want to change the start of somebody's journey. It's those people that feel like they, you know, had a really crappy start and somebody else shouldn't get that.
Yep.
And you know, I had a couple ladies in Ireland reach out to me. And that was a few years ago now, and they have been delivering hundreds of baskets across Ireland, the perfect gift. And, you know, they've been in newspapers over there, and that's amazing. I've had a bunch of people in the US reach out to me. And I sort of always give the precursor, look, I don't know the politics and the rules and the regulations where you are, but this is what I did to get started. And, you know, it's a commitment, it's a game changer, but definitely you get back more than you give, for sure. Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear, because it's a very, very lovely initiative.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Changes.
What are, like, interested to know, I mean, you talked about this earlier in the podcast about how when you go to deliver these baskets, you read the room, you know, you see how the parents are at that moment in time. Like, can you share a little bit about some of the reactions that you've gotten from some of the parents that stand out a little bit from the basket?
It's, oh my gosh, it's the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
They're honestly meeting a stranger at their most vulnerable time. And that takes an incredible amount of bravery. I don't know if I could have done that. And, you know, they're very cautious of me. They're reading me too. They're like, who is this lady? What is she gonna do? What is she gonna say? You know, and it's all about breaking the ice and trying to, you know, make that connection. And sometimes that happens really easily and fluidly. Sometimes, you know, they're just a little too caught up or a little too involved in everything that's going on with them, and they're still processing. And so the conversations are quick and short, and, you know, we're here if you need it. And sometimes I'm there for hours. You know, it's such a spectrum, and it's really what that particular family needs and how they're processing it at the moment, for sure. Yeah.
You're very generous with your time. I would think, yeah, if I had my druthers with the medical community, I would love it if everyone had, you know, as much time as was really needed.
For sure.
I think that's,
Sometimes you do need to have that.
You know, I've bashed him a few times here, but I have to give props to my husband for that. You know, he is the one that's watching the boys while I go out and I drive and I do all of these things. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be back in half an hour, if I'm going to be back in 3 hours, you know, but here are the boys. Good luck.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's never, ever given me grief for that. It's always go. Do what you need to do, and we work around our family schedule to figure out when we can do baskets. And he has been a huge supporter of the baskets from day one, and he's allowed me to do that, allowed me to get that time, for sure.
Yeah. I was just curious, sorry, I just wanted to ask one more question. How do you get connected with these families? Like, is there, everybody will tell you that,
she's a friend of a friend, my cousin's aunt's uncle, and we've had midwives. We have had DSRF has reached out a few times. Social workers through the hospitals are a connection. You know, when that was a huge learning curve for me. When I first started, I thought, it's the nurses in the NICU, on the maternity ward. They're the ones that are going to see a baby with Down syndrome. They're the ones that should call me. Not the case. It's the social workers. They're the ones that are handling that aspect of things.
Out of hospital connections.
And so social workers have been the ones that have been in touch with me through hospitals. And otherwise, community. You know, a lot of times brothers, sisters, mums reach out, hey, my sister just got a diagnosis with her little one. Can I get her a basket? You know, like, and you can see that love and family support coming in of they're trying to help their relative, their friend, their whatever. And other times it's been a lot of dads, actually. It's really interesting to me how many dads have actually reached out to be, and you can tell that they're the ones that are figuring out the logistics of this. They're the ones that are doing the research, and so a few dads have actually reached out. Been the first person in contact for sure. Yeah.
Very fantastic. Did you have any other questions? I think I'm just so excited. It's a very, very great initiative. I'm really happy that you welcome people's input. Should they find you online if they want to find out more? Would that be
absolutely
the best way?
We've got a website, Baskets of Love DS for Down Syndrome.com, and Instagram, also Baskets of Love DS, and also on Facebook. And we have communication methods through all three of those social media platforms to get in touch, and there's email, and
fantastic.
And I think to end our podcast, what would your advice be to new parents? I mean, you talked a little bit about what you've learned in terms of
one day at a time.
Yeah, great. Love it.
It's sometimes it's 1 minute at a time. But don't run before you can walk. I know it's human nature to think about school. Is he ever going to go to school? Is he going to get married? Is he going to get a job one day? And it's so easy to think that far in the future. But I can't believe I have a 7-year-old. It has gone by like that. And just enjoy that, babe. Enjoy it for the second that you're in it. Worry about what you need to worry about right now. It goes by so quickly, and what will come will come. You've got no control over it. That's definitely something I tell all the new parents. Just try and focus on today.
Right now.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Well, it's been a pleasure
Thank
having
you.
you.
So much
Thank
for
you so much
coming.
for coming in. We had, for all the listeners, we had tried to schedule this, and then COVID happened, and we finally get to do it. It's very exciting. So we
Thank
really
you very much
appreciate
for
you
wanting
coming.
to hear my voice.
Oh,
and,
we do.
having me here, I really
think
appreciate
a lot of
it.
parents are going to take so much from this, and I think it's so important for parents to come in and tell their stories.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next week on the Lowdown, a Down syndrome podcast.
All babies with Down syndrome should be seen by a cardiologist, obviously, depending on what kind of murmur we might hear and what their oxygen levels are. It may be a really, really urgent referral, like today, or it may be a referral that can wait a few days. And if the baby is very stable from a cardiac point of view and we don't hear a murmur, then we can probably wait a few days or a week or 2 weeks for a cardiologist to see them.
The Lowdown, the Down Syndrome podcast, is a production of Down Syndrome Research Foundation. Learn more at dsrf.org and join the conversation at DSRF Canada on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The Lowdown is hosted by Marla Folden and Hannah Mahmood, and is produced by Glenn Hughes. The Lowdown theme music and Just Do was written and recorded by Rick Scott.